Hello everyone, my name is Zephysis, and today I'd like to share with you my Heavy Armor Magicka Sorcerer build for the Murkmire patch. I wanted to create a build for this patch that responded to the changes that were to be implemented to the damage shields for sorcerers with the cast times. And I wanted to create a build basically to show people that it wasn't going to be the end of the world, that you could still play a Magicka Sorcerer and still have fun, and you didn't have to delete the game because they were putting some cast times on the shields. So I created a Heavy Armor Magicka Sorcerer kind of to give me a little bit more survivability without relying too heavily on the shields. This build has a pretty good amount of defense and kiting capability, as well as a lot of damage. So without further ado, let's get into these stats. Running 64 points into Magicka. Max Magicka is 32,500, max health 20,800, max stamina 12,600. Magicka recovery is 1,435. I think that's plenty of Magicka recovery on this build. Some people like running a lot of recovery on their Magicka builds. I personally don't think you need it, as long as you're heavy and light attack weaving and paying attention to how much you're spamming abilities should be fine. Health recovery is on the low side at 294. That's because I am a vampire. Stamina recovery is 688. And I think that's a pretty good amount of stamina recovery, especially with the stamina pool that we're sitting at right now. It's quite a healthy amount of stamina on a sorcerer. Spell damage sitting at 2,472. That will go up to just under 3,000. I think I miss it by just about 40 points. And that is because I do not have my jewelry golded out, and I am wearing a Magicka recovery enchant on my necklace. If I had gold jewelry or that switched over to a spell damage enchant on my necklace, I would definitely be at or over 3,000 spell damage. My spell critical is sitting just under 30%. My resistances are both at 15,000. Those will go up. The Boundless Storm, you're sitting well over 20,000 on both of those. It's really good. And the crit resist sitting at 1,317. Running the Lover Mundus Stone, I really like it for the penetration and make sure my damage gets through to the target. This can be switched out for more spell damage if you really like, or you can run really whatever Mundus Stone you feel like running on this build. Really up to you. I am a vampire, and I am running the Witchmother's Potent Brew. Magic recovery, max Magicka, max health. With our gear, I am running War Maiden's weapons and jewelry. The main staff, the lightning staff, main bar staff, we got the shock damage enchant on there, infused. War Maidens gives you spell crit, max Magicka, spell damage, and 386 spell damage to all your Magicka abilities. This is being applied only to my Haunting Curse and my Crystal Frags. Next patch, I'm going to switch this set over to Spell Strategist. I think it's going to be a much better set for this build. You are going to get 500 spell damage applied to all of your abilities with a Spell Strategist, and that procs off of light and heavy attacks. It's on a 4-second cooldown. The buff to your spell damage lasts 5 seconds, so it's pretty much 100% uptime on your target. You're going to be able to mark a target with your light and heavy attacks, and it's going to increase your spell damage against that target. I think it's going to be really well. I'm excited to change to it as soon as Murkmire goes live on console. On the back bar, another lightning staff. I'm running spell and weapon damage enchant with defending. I like the defending trait on the back bar staff because the back bar is my defense bar. Adds a little bit of resistance to back bar, and I just like the way it plays with the build. For the monster set, I'm running Slimecraw. I really like the flat bonus of damage. The spell crit, weapon crit adds damage done increased by 8%. So you got minor berserk at all times. I really like this. It's just damage that's always accessible. It's always there for you. I'm a big fan. It's just my opinion. On the big pieces of my armor, I'm running all infused on the big pieces. And on the small pieces, I am running Impin. And then my final set, I'm running Rattlecage, the heavy armor set. Rattlecage gives you max health, spell damage, spell damage, spell damage, major sorcery at all times, increasing your spell damage by 20%. As I said, you got the Impin on the smaller pieces. And I'm running Triglyphs enchants on every single piece. I was running Max Magicka. I felt it was wasted, however. I played mostly in Battlegrounds, and I always had my Max Magicka scaled down every time I got into a Battleground. So I thought, let me switch over to Triglyphs and see if I can at least gain some health and stamina if I'm going to lose all this Magicka. And sure enough, I switched everything to Triglyphs, and my Max Magicka got scaled down to where it always does, and my max health and max stamina went up. So I really like that. I think it's just as important to have, you know, your other two stats, not just your main stat, and it really helps. I think it plays well into the build. Magic recovery, arcane on my necklace, and spell damage, arcane on both rings. I am going to be switching the jewelry and weapons to spell strategist in the next patch. Just waiting on it to go live. For the pots, I'm using Tri-Stat pots. You could use just Essence of Health. You could even use Essence of Immovability. Would make you even harder to lock down and kill. Really personal preference with the pots, as is anything in the build. Adjust it to your liking. I think that covers the gear. We move on to skills. Front bar, your damage bar. I'm running Shock Reach. Stuns for 2.5 seconds, applies small shock damage over time, and deals 5200 shock damage. Boundless Storm. You're going to want this up 100% of the time. Pretty much never let this go down. Gives you major resolve, major ward, and major expedition. Grants you movement speed for almost 8 seconds. It's really nice. This is how you're at over 20,000 resistances. Just keeping this up all the time. Haunting Curse, the one that explodes twice. This is where most of your burst comes from. You line this up with your other abilities, and you have a lot of burst going out to your enemies. Endless Fury, so your execute. You will get so many kills with this ability, it's not even funny. It hits really hard on this build. Apply it to anyone low on health, and you're going to be stealing kills left and right. Explodes on an enemy that falls below 20% health within 4 seconds. And with the penetration on this build and just your 3k spell damage, you're going to hit hard. Also restores Magicka when you kill an enemy. And Crystal Frags. Tooltip is really nice on this. Especially the one that's procced off of casting another Magicka ability. Make sure you switch to the back bar and proc your spell damage enchant before throwing the procced Crystal Frag. That helps boost this damage even more on your Crystal Frag. And finally, the ultimate on the front bar is Shooting Star. Huge amount of flame damage, knocking them back and stunning them for 2 seconds. And applies a dot that lasts almost 12 seconds. Also generates ultimate for everybody you hit. Moving on to the back bar, Streak. This is amazing kiting ability. It's going to allow you to streak forward like Flash Gordon. And if you go through an enemy, you will also stun them if they're not CC immune and deal shock damage to them. So try to line this up. If you're playing this offensively, you can streak through an enemy right before your Shooting Star hits them. This takes a second to fall from the sky. So in that split second you're waiting on this to fall down and hit them, you can stun them with Streak and reposition yourself, or hit them with a Shock Reach and stun them. And hopefully you have Haunting Curse on them and Endless Fury just ready to tick off too. So at the same time, that all hits them at once. And 90% of the time you're going to kill your target. Just be careful spamming this. We do have a lot of Magicka, but you can run yourself out of Magicka. spamming this too much. That's also okay if you want to overcast this and get away to an insane distance. You want to really put some distance between you and your target. You could cast this, run yourself out of Magicka, and just use Dark Conversion and get all your resources back up. Elusive Mist, this is like my favorite ability pretty much on this build. This makes you so incredibly tanky, it's not even funny. I've eaten back-to-back shooting stars or meteors while in Elusive Mist and just shrugged them off. Reduces your damage taken by 75% and grants you Major Expedition, increasing your movement speed. Also grants you immunity to disabling and immobilization effects. If you're in trouble, cast this. You're able to move away with some Major Expedition and reposition and get back into the fight, hopefully. I've missed, it'd be cancelled by blocking. So if you don't want to let it run its full duration of 4 seconds, maybe your friends show up to help you as you're running away or kiting, you can, block and it'll immediately let you out of Elusive Mist form. Also, while you're in Boundless form, you can go into Elusive Mist and, you have your 20,000 resistances while you're in Elusive Mist form, taking 75% reduced damage. Pretty awesome. Yeah, your enemy kill you. I am running Empowered Ward. I did play around with the idea of maybe using the other morph of this. Either one's fine. However, I do like the 10-second duration on this. And the minor intellect's not bad, even though it's not a lot. It can help. You could spam this, make sure it's up all the time, or you can use it situationally. PvP rotations are dynamic anyways. So use as needed as you anticipate damage. And Defensive Rune for the 4th skill. I really like Defensive Rune. I know every other person in the world that plays Sorcerer uses the other morph. But I'm a big fan of this. You get to set it and forget it. It lasts for 2 minutes, so cast it, and it's good to go. Somebody that's going to attack you is going to get stunned. It might not always be the person you want to stun, but somebody is getting stunned. But the good thing about this is it's good for defense and offense. Right before you head into the skirmish or into the fray, make sure this is on. Somebody's getting stunned. And also, if you're focusing on one part of the action and somebody sneaks up on you, say like a Nightblade, they want to incap you from stealth, they're going to get stunned and possibly waste their incap or waste one of their other attacks and get stunned, have to use resources to break free, mess up their rotation, and of course alert you that they're there so you can assess the situation properly and react. I don't know, it's a lot of fun. I've gotten really used to this. And like I showed earlier, Dark Conversion. Take advantage of that nice stamina pool we have and gain health and Magicka back. There is a cast time on this, so just be aware of that. And you are not able to bar swap until this goes off. See, I was pressing bar swap, but it won't happen until the effect is actually applied to your character. So, you spam it all you want, but it's got to heal you before you can bar swap, so just be aware of that. What you want to do, if you're kiting out, say you're streaking away in mist form, you want to line of sight or get to a safe distance. Cast this once or twice if you're moderately low and you're back to full Magicka and HP. Cast it 3 times, you're back to full if you're severely injured. And you're good to go. You're good to re-engage. For the passives, you want everything in Dark Magic. Everything but Rebate and Expert Summoner, since we're not running pets in Daedric Summoning. Everything is Storm Calling. Everything in Destruction Staff. 3 in the Light Armor. Top 3 in the Medium. All top 3 on Light and Medium, because I am running 5-1-1 on this setup. You want at least Supernatural Recovery, Undeath, and Unnatural Resistance as a vampire. Banish the Wicked in Fighters Guild, just in case you're fighting a werewolf or a vampire. Everything in Mage's Guild. I don't have enough for skill points for Mage Adept right now, but you want everything in Mage's Guild. And if you're going to run the 5-1-1 like me, you want everything in Undaunted Command and Undaunted Metal. I just don't have enough skill points right at this moment to have both those out, and I'm also not quite level 9 yet. So, everything in Assault and Support if you're playing this build in Cyrodiil. I have played a little bit in Cyrodiil with this build. I've mostly played just kind of messing around with small group play. And it works fine. I just don't have the passives in Assault or Support, and I'm not quite max CP yet. And of course, all your racial passives as always. And you're going to want to take Medicinal Use and Alchemy, and Gourmand and Connoisseur and Provisioning. And I think that covers it. Character stats, skills, passives, gear. On to the champion points. I can run over this really quick. I apologize in advance. I'm only, what am I, CP 535, so I'm not, but you can use this as a template. For the most part, you're going to want to follow the blue tree pretty closely. You don't want to deviate too much. And the red and green trees, you can pretty much do whatever you want to your liking. Starting in the blue tree, got 23 in the Elfborn, 43 in the Elemental Expert, 27 in the Spell Erosion, 72 in the Master at Arms. I like 23%. I think anything more than 72 points in the 1-star and you're kind of getting too many diminishing returns. 23% is a lot, I think, in any 1-star, unless you're just running a build where you have a ton of extra points and nowhere else to put them. I think 72 is plenty. Kind of spread the love around. Maybe change that up when I hit max CP, but I don't think so. I like spreading my CP around. Staff Expert, I got 6. Shattering Blows, got 7. Nothing into the Ritual. Not relying on Chalk Reach enough to really gain much benefit from the damage over time bonus. And everything else is stamina and physical, disease, poison damage in this tree. 56 in the Ironclad, 9 into Resistant. If you've got more CP than me and you plan on doing this build in Cyrodiil, don't be afraid to put more into Resistant. 34 into Thick Skin, 32 into Hardy, and 32 into Elemental Defender. Pretty even spread right here in the Lady. 8 to Quick Recovery, 8 in the Heavy Armor Focus. Both of these can also be buffed for Cyrodiil if you've got more CP to spare. 40 into Warlord, 10 into Sprinter, 43 in the Arcanist, 43 in the Tenacity, 19 into Healthy, and 23 into Tumbling. And that covers champion points. So I think that about covers it, guys. I really like this build. I think it's very viable. I play a lot of Battlegrounds, like I said. At least it's viable for me and my playstyle. I had a lot of fun with this. I think my best game ever so far is around 17 or 18 kills with a couple deaths, a bunch of assists, and right around 800-something thousand damage. I'm going to try to put up maybe some PvP gameplay footage tacked on to the end of this build. I know this build went kind of long. So yeah, hopefully I can get that done. Share that with you guys. I hope you liked the build. Let me know what you think. Give me a thumbs up if you liked it. Give me a thumbs down if you don't. Let me know why you don't like it and what's wrong with it. So, appreciate any feedback. I hope you enjoy the video. Everybody have a good day or night. Peace.